Hi, Jodie, Ronnie Charter from STV. Hope you're well.
Hiya.
I was just wondering, how has it been for you this period of not being able to play? We've spoken to a few other managers and a few other players, and they just seem really frustrated that it's taken so long to get going. What's your thoughts?
I share the same thoughts. It is really frustrating. It's been massively difficult, like for so many different aspects. Personally, for me, I've found it hard to keep myself training, keep myself motivated. This second time round, I think the first time round when it was paused, or sort of when it was made null and void, it was a bit different, and we didn't quite know when we'd be starting back. So I think I still trained as much as I could. I was still quite motivated, and then we got the date in September that we knew that we were coming back. And we thought, fantastic, league started, brilliant. We can kick start, and we're going to be going for the rest of the season. And then obviously January came around, and we got told that we paused again. And I think the frustration behind that was because knowing so many other leagues were still continuing, and us being classed as a professional league, as far as I'm aware, we were the only sort of professional league that was paused. And yeah, it was annoying, and it was very, very difficult to take on board. But, you know, we had to get over it. We still had to train ourselves on our own, keep ourselves motivated in order to get ourselves back. And then again, the frustrations came when we were told we were going to get an announcement of a date when we were going to come back. That didn't happen. We got updated with no update. So it was just a constant, you know, one thing after another of frustration building. But when we did get the call and the date of knowing when we were going to be back, you know, happy days, and we've trained really, really hard for the past 4 weeks and enjoyed ourselves.
Considering the structure that both Celtic and Rangers are putting in place in terms of their women's team, you know, going full time, obviously there was facilities to test you guys as well, which would have helped the restart quicker. Do you feel that you were sort of forgotten about in that sense? You know, we are pushing for equality in terms of the men and the women's game, but it seems as if, from what you were saying, your first answer, that that's sort of lacking.
It's a difficult one, really, because yes, there's, you know, we've got the facilities, Rangers have got the facilities, I believe probably Glasgow City have maybe. But it's difficult when you look at the league as a whole, and that's where sort of we understand why it was kind of paused, because not everyone can do the testing. Yes, we can, but would it have been fair to say to us and to Rangers and to Glasgow, yeah, you carry on training, you get yourself well above everyone else, and then we'll start again? You know, is that fair? Probably not really. That's where we could start. That's when we sort of understood, all right, okay, we can't all test, we're all going to have to stop. But yeah, it is difficult, and like I said, I think the main thing, it was just frustrating knowing that we can continue to train because we can be tested, but they just decided no. If not everyone can, then no one can.
We were speaking to Fran yesterday about the game at the weekend. I mean, you could tell his excitement. It was bursting through the computer screen. In terms of you guys, it's a cracking start in terms of the opposition and what it would do in terms of a win. That would be a big message to send, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This game is probably one of our biggest because of everything that has happened. I think it's maybe even bigger than the first game of the season because of the pause again, and the hype that it's going to be of us getting back out there and that first game back after the suspended league. So this is going to set a precedence. You know, I think both teams, obviously no one goes out not to win. Everyone wants to be going out to win. But I think for us specifically, you know, we're pushing for a Champions League spot. We're pushing for a league title, you know. So, and so are Glasgow, so are Rangers. So this weekend is such an important game. And in all honesty, we're buzzing. Like this week, I mean, leading up to it, I mean, there's a slight different feeling training this week. It always gets a bit anxious and the tensions are rising because it's getting so close, and, you know, we waited again for so long for it. But yeah, we're all buzzing to get going. Can't wait.
Just finally from me before the other guys in terms of, you mentioned that Champions League there, is that where Celtic now see themselves? You know, the infrastructure's there. You've got a manager in Fran Alonso who has a vision. Do you see that as the top goal now of being that constant Champions League outfit?
Absolutely, yeah. There's no reason why we shouldn't be pushing for Champions League. I think when Fran came in, he sort of asked us what we wanted as a team. What was our goal? Was our goal to just be better than we were the season before? Was it to be top two? Was it to win the league? And we were all, yeah, we want to go win the league. Of course we want to go win the league, but realistically, we want to smash that top two. We really want to get into the Champions League. Me personally, I've never played Champions League, and what an amazing thing to do, to have on your CV, to have played Champions League. So yeah, I think we've, like you said, we've got the infrastructure, we can do it. We've got Fran, we've got everyone pushing us in order to get there, and it's definitely something in sight for us.
Hi Jodie, it's Tino here from the Celtic Exchange. Jodie, just to follow on from what Ronnie was saying, obviously Fran has been preparing you for this game, but do you feel now is the time for Celtic women to overtake Glasgow City? Do you feel you've got that in the squad now to become the top female team in the country?
Yes, I do. I think with the investment, with the pull of Fran, with the pull of even certain players that have come and gone already, I think it's sort of showing the direction that we want to go. This transfer window, we've signed international players. We've got 3 international players in out of the 4 signings. So I think that's sort of showing the direction that we want to be going, the type of calibre of player that we're bringing in, that we're attracting. So yeah, it's definitely something that we want to challenge. I think Glasgow have been the only team for so many years. And now with the investment, there's so much more competition, and it's harder week in, week out against every single team, and every single game is so important. Whereas possibly before, you'd have Glasgow City rocking up thinking, well, we're going to win this game, and so on and so forth. It's so much different now. So yeah, it's a lot more better. It's a lot competitive as well.
Hi Jodie, John Reid here for the Glasgow's Green podcast. How annoying was it to have to stop playing again, especially so soon after defeating Rangers in the derby?
Yeah, that game resonates in my mind more than anyone else's, I think. Yeah, it was massively frustrating because of how well we'd done in that first half of the season. Yes, we went out, our first game wasn't good enough. There's so many reasons behind it. But then after that, I think we had a week break of international break. And then after that, it was just smashing. And we worked so hard and we were on a roll. We had momentum. Yes, there was one game that we dropped some points, but then we came back the next game and won again. And we were on a roll, and then we've had this massive gap. And yes, I know there was going to be a big gap of about a month anyway in fixtures over Christmas, but that's completely different when you know that's going to happen. But then obviously with that extra suspension, it's just been it's been really difficult. It's been hard trying to kickstart again. It's almost. I put a post out the other day. It feels like the start of the season, and that shouldn't be the case. We're midway through the season, and it feels like that half of the season just sort of doesn't matter, when obviously it does. But it's just the feeling sort of we've got in our minds we're starting the season again when it's not actually the case.
But at least now the players will be well up for the game on Sunday. Must be desperate to play again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think as well, because with it being Glasgow and we lost first time out, and then obviously before the null and void season we won, we're, I think everyone's looking for maybe a bit of revenge, if that's how you want to put it. But yeah, we're all, biting at the bit in order to get out there and hopefully showcase what we can do and what we've been working towards.
Hello, hi. Thanks, Jodie. Thanks to the club for the opportunity. I was just wondering, in the context of a lockdown and not being able to meet up as a squad, what was it like bringing new players in, and how did you sort of integrate them into the sort of squad setup in terms of communicating and that kind of thing? What were the challenges there?
I think they themselves probably found it very challenging. I know that a couple of the girls moved into what we call the foreign flat, because there's loads of different nationalities in this flat. But a couple of them moved in when some of us sort of went home. So it was difficult, I think, for them to sort of readjust moving to Scotland, somewhere completely different, and kind of not on their own, but kind of on their own at the same time. But, you know, as a team, we did what we could do. We would still have Zoom chats, we'd have our group calls, and we'd talk to each other as much as we could, as you know, as possible, in order to sort of welcome them and integrate them. I know that one of them didn't actually come up until we sort of started again, so that was lucky for her. She was still able to sort of be around friends, family through the frustrating times. So yeah, you know, it was difficult, but we did what we could. And then as soon as we've started again, it sort of feels like they've been there for ages. We've known them for ages, because we still communicated with them all the time, but we just hadn't played with them. And it was really nice to actually put a face to a name and to actually be able to speak to them physically, and get them on the ball and have a chat with them.
Excellent. And I was also just wondering, obviously with the league resuming, yourselves, Rangers and Glasgow City are kind of favourites, obviously, but outside of those, you know, yourselves and the other two, what teams do you have your eye on in terms of the rest of the season, in terms of games that you're looking forward to specifically?
Well, I mean, every single game is going to be a difficult one, and we're going in, you know, treating every single game as it is. But I don't think anyone is above anyone. We've just got to go in to a game, not worrying about the next game, not worrying about the previous game, and just do our job on the day. I think, you know, there's certain, you know, Hibs have always been up there as far as I'm aware. Spartans, you know, it was a 1-0. It was a very, very close game. Forfar was another game that we've got points. So, you know, every single game is going to be a difficult one, and we've just got to treat it, you know, basically every single game's a cup final at the end of the day, isn't it?
Hi, Jodie. David Falls from Celtic Star. The performance I thought was the best so far this season was the first half against Hibs. And when I thought the tactics were superb, and I think somebody scored a goal that day, I'm not sure, can't remember. But really Hibs played well, and I think they were surprised going off at the interval. It was 5-1 to Celtic. But, you know, it was, if we can do that against Glasgow and the Rangers, then there's no reason why we can't win the league.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really interesting to hear you say that, and especially after the Hibs game, it's really quite interesting listening to other people's thoughts, because on the pitch, our first half, in our opinion, was one of our worst performances that we'd done. Just I don't know if it was emotions of the day or something. Something just wasn't quite right, and we weren't happy with ourselves, considering we were 5-1 up in the first half. But, you know, I think the reason that we didn't think we played fantastically well is because Hibs, you know, credit to Hibs, I think they pressed high. They played how we expected them to play, but because they pressed high, that meant that we could exploit some spaces, and we did exactly that. And we were absolutely clinical when we got our chances, which is why, you know, we were 4 goals up at half time. But, you know, if we're playing those games and we don't think ourselves that we've played well, but on the outlook, we have played very well, you know, I think that just shows the expectations that we put upon ourselves. And it also shows that sometimes when we're not playing fantastically well, we can still get the job done. And, you know, it might not look massively attractive football, but apparently it did, just maybe didn't feel like it. But, you know, if we can go out and play like that without thinking that we're playing like that, you know, that, like you said, there is no reason why we can't be challenging for that top spot.
Yeah. Just one other question. I'm not really sure how you can score a goal, but then the referee can call it back to give a penalty kick.
I knew that was going to come up at some point. I honestly don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to get over it. The amount of times it is brought up in training, they take goals away from me every single time, and they're, oh, it's Rangers all over again. But no, I don't know what happened. I've kicked that ball. I think I'm still adamant that he's blown his whistle after the ball's in the net, or even after I've kicked it, you know, either way. And then a couple of us are celebrating and he's pointing to the spot, and it's just, oh my days.
Hi, Jodie. Just a couple of questions. Sarah's back in the squad after quite a long break. And obviously you had the friendly against Forfar, and there seems to be quite a lot of emotion around her scoring a goal. And obviously she was one of the big signings when the team first went professional, but then she's been out for such a long time. Is that a real boost to have her back in the squad?
Yeah, definitely. I read a report of Fran talking about her the other day, and I couldn't agree with him more in the fact that the way that she was playing she was only on 15, 20 minutes, but it looked like she hadn't been out. And that's just full credit to her. She has worked tremendously hard over this past year in order to get herself fit, in order to get herself ready, both physically and psychologically. And, you know, when she came on, everyone was cheering. Like Fran said, it was like a family member going out there, and it was so heartwarming to see her on there and enjoying her football, and then for her to get a goal. You know, I think there were a couple of tears everywhere, not just from her. That, you know, there wasn't a dry eye out there on that day. So it's absolutely buzzing to get her back in the squad.
Yeah, and the other question I was going to ask you was about training and kind of how you're preparing for this restart. And one of the things that's been announced today is one of the partnerships with Catapult, and whether you using that technology and kind of we've spoken to Fran about more access to footage and things. Is that something that has benefited you, do you feel, in training as a squad? And how are you using it?
Yeah, I think it's benefiting us a little bit more. I think that one of the things that Fran said after our Glasgow City game, the first game of the season, was the fact that we weren't fit enough. And I think that now we've got these systems in order to know what we're doing, how hard we're working, you know, the load that we're doing. I think that's made a lot of difference, and that's helped us prepare a lot more this time round. I think fitness isn't going to be an element isn't going to be a problem, whereas before it was. So that is one aspect how it's helped us. And definitely with footage this time around, you know, we've seen so much more feedback from managers and from coaches, and, you know, they're sending us snippets of this, that and the other in order to help us with our game, whether it is in a friendly, whether it is at training. So yeah, it's definitely helped getting that sort of stuff on board.
Good morning, Jodie. Paul John Dykes from Celtic State of Mind. Now, the match against Glasgow City is being screened on BBC Alba following the news that the Women's Super League have signed a kind of groundbreaking deal as well for broadcasting. How clear an indication do you feel that this is that the women's game is moving forward at a relentless pace?
Oh, it's great news. When I saw that with the Super League, you know, that's setting a precedence for British football. I think, you know, the fact that there's going to be the rights and there's going to be showing of every single Super League game, and I think that will then mean that if they've got the rights for the Super League, that will mean that Championship games will also be able to get shown through the other means that it was before, I think through the FA player. So that means that more football is going to be watched and is going to be available for people to see. And then obviously up here in Scotland, it said there's so much more coverage, and you know, that's all that we can ask for at the moment, is more to be happening, and that is happening. So it's great to see that there's going to be people watching from everywhere, you know, all over the country, in other countries, and it's available, especially at the moment when we haven't got fans. We don't know when fans are going to be coming back in. I know in England that there's some set dates for when fans might be able to go back in and watch games. Up here, we don't know, so we need to make sure that people can still support us and they have the means in order to watch us. So yeah, it's a great thing to see, definitely.
I'm just saying, with the popularity of the women's game now, like overall, and probably especially since the World Cup, how do you think that's maybe impacted Celtic and Scottish football overall, with players coming up from England and overseas and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think I sort of said it before in the fact that the investment is attracting players, and also we've got players that are coming up through the academy. So the fact that we've gone into a professional status, the fact that Rangers have gone to a professional status, is sort of showing sort of like maybe the youngsters that this is a job that they can do. And, you know, it can only increase the popularity in it. You know, if if this wasn't here, if we weren't able to go professional, then maybe not everyone will want to, that kids won't be able to see it as a genuine career path.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with the coverage of the World Cup especially, that was fantastic, and it definitely increased the popularity of football. And then annoyingly frustrating with all the suspensions, with how that made the league look. I think that then dipped it like minorly, just that little bit. But then with, you know, us still going, us restarting, you know, it is still continuing to build and grow. And like you've said, it's brought people from overseas. It's brought me up from England. It's brought a couple of others, someone else up from England. We've got girls from all over the world. We've got Americans coming in, people playing from Italy. You know, it is attracting lots of different calibers of player, and that can only be a positive, definitely.
Hi Jodie, it's Ryan from 20 Minute Tims here. Thanks for your time today. I just want to ask about the manager, Fran Alonso. Obviously, it was him that brought you up the road in the first place. What's he like on the training pitch, and also how has he been able to motivate you and the players? Obviously, during the break you weren't training. How was he able to sort of get you guys ready ultimately for Sunday's game? Cheers.
Fran is buzzing all the time. He has so much energy, and you can see his love for the game just through everything that he does. And that you know, we get that on board as well, and it helps us out so much, and it makes us want to play for him so much more when we see how much he wants to see us succeed. You know, he's the kind of person that will put you ahead of you know, your thoughts and feelings first, and then it's football after that, to make sure that you're in a good position, you're in a good place, and then football will come after that, which, you know, and I think that sort of shows what an amazing kind of person he is, and that makes us respect him so much more. And, you know, everyone's got a great wealth of respect for Fran. And, you know, and his experiences in football, he likes to remind us every now and then of the people that he's worked with, and that, you know, that shows in his football. We know when we know that sort of like in this period of pause, how much he's gone and worked on certain things, how much research he's done, how much, you know, he's been looking at other teams, and he's been preparing in order for us to be able to come back strong and us to enjoy our training and work really hard. And we can just tell just how hard he works. And you know, me personally, I love that, and the girls absolutely love that. His refereeing in training has, you know, not the best thing ever, but other than that, you know, he's an absolutely great guy.
Yeah, just finally from me, I just want to ask you about, like, obviously you've got a great story coming up. Last January you used to be a PE teacher. You've come in, you know, got a few games under your belt. Then obviously the lockdown happened, you know, the new season starts. I think it was 7 games you got, and then again football stopped. Has it been hard for you to settle without that run of games, or have the players and the rest of the team sort of helped you through that?
Well, it's not exactly the way that I thought my first season of professional football would ever go. You know, I don't know, no one's sort of expecting that, but it is what it is. I wouldn't say that I found it any more difficult or easier. You know, I've trained exactly the same as what I did before. You know, when I was a school teacher, I was still, if I wasn't physically football training, then I was in the gym and I was doing something. You know, I was always doing something. But I think the difficulty this time round was the fact of maybe having so much time in order to find something to do. So then and not having any gyms open and stuff like that. It's that sort of aspect was maybe a little bit difficult. But the stop-start, you know, I had 7 games. I felt like personally I was on a roll. I was playing well, you know, and it was been difficult to then stop, have this big pause. And then obviously with more players coming in, there's so much more competition for places and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't say it's been easy or difficult. It's just been one of them frustrating times.
Hi, Jodie.
Yeah.
Andrew Miller, more than 90 minutes. Jodie, just a quick one, because I think everybody's covered what I would have asked. Just mentally, how challenging has it been coming into this season because of the lockdowns we're in and players being away from home and not being able to mix us freely with people who would be outside influence on the team?
It's been a challenge. I think everyone's found certain aspects of it more difficult than others. But you know, we as a team, we've still helped each other out. You know, if we think someone's struggling or if we know someone's struggling, you know, we've reached out and we've made sure that everyone's all right. You know, we kept to our weekly Zoom sort of meetings, whether the coaches would doing some sort of quiz or if it's a workout or, you know, just something to keep us all together. You know, we continued with that the whole time through. And I think that really helped with a lot of people. You know, I'm very much, I think I'm quite resilient in my mind of when it comes to motivating myself to train and do things like that. And even there were points that I just thought, you know, what's the point now? You know, we've been stopped again, we've been paused again. And it is really difficult to sort of pick yourself up and continue. But, you know, you've just got to keep in mind, what is that end goal? We know we're going to be going back. We just don't know, you know, at the time we just didn't know when. So it's up to you to sort of get yourself motivated. You know, it's not all just self-motivation. There is, you still got your coaches. You know, I had coaches calling me most weeks just to check in how I am, and, you know, how West Ham doing as well, because I'm a Hammer. And just, you know, just keeping on top of things. And it's been hard mentally, it has. I don't think anyone has found this whole period easy at all. But, you know, like I've said, we've all helped out each other. We've really rallied together as a team. We've shared our frustrations, and we've also, you know, motivated ourselves and just helped each other out. It's, like I said, it's been difficult, but we've definitely helped each other out.
Yeah, hi Jodie, it's Paul from Celtic Fans TV. A little bit late to proceedings today, so I apologise if anybody's already covered what I'm about to ask. The team have obviously been back in training for a few weeks now. Can you give us an insight into what that training has been like? Has it almost had to be like a mini pre-season for you because of the length of the break?
Honestly, it feels like I've had a year of pre-season, to be completely honest. And it's sort of difficult to think that the season that we've had so far has been competitive, and it has actually meant something, and it's sort of been difficult in that sort of aspect. But yeah, it kind of has been pre-season to a certain extent. You know, we've had fitness tests again, which, you know, I don't know if that was going to have happened if we weren't off for a couple of months. And, you know, the fitness aspect of it, you know, we've been working hard in order to get ourselves back to sort of where we were in December time. And then, you know, going over things tactically and maybe introducing some other things as well, and still learning. But yeah, it's kind of been a mini pre-season to a certain extent. And like I said before, this Sunday feels like the start of the season, even though it shouldn't do, but it kind of has got the start of the season feel, especially knowing that we've got 2 rounds of fixtures left. You know, I think a lot of us sort of expected that we were just going to be told we were just going to have the 1 round, and knowing now that we're going to be playing every single game. Again, it kind of feels like we are starting the season, but we're excited to get going and can't wait for Sunday.